At one point, I considered Shiranui to be a character I didn't care about. That changed though when I got 8 UR weapons for her, so I took it as the game telling me something. I took that sort of advice from the game, and now Shiranui is one of my favorite characters to use. What's happening, fellas? It's your boy Hardcorn, and we're taking a real in-depth look today at Mizuki Shiranui, the greatest mother of all time, and one hell of a meaty one to boot. We're looking at her skills, stats, supporters, and most of all, if she's worth it in the first place. Now before we get too far into it, I just want to tell you guys to subscribe. It's helpful to me and it's also helpful to the channel, so I can grow and make better content for you all. Now let's get into it. One of the most immediate things you'll see with Shiranui is that she's a spear and water user. The spears and pole arms she can use have very nice range on her basic attack. Every single swipe and poke has huge range, not only carving large swaths in front of her, but many times also hitting behind her with those huge swings. Shiranui's ninja art is, of course, water, and this allows her to manipulate that said water in many ways, but most notably, she creates illusions with them. These illusions can attack, distract, and help defensively. These water illusions are also where she gets the Phantom name from. Shiranui calls herself out of shape compared to her prime, but she handles situations as well and sometimes even better than some of these younger girls, so they could stand to learn a lesson from her. All those illusions too make her incredibly strong, since not only can she summon humanoid copies, she can form the water into weapons. Shiranui is also super keen on movement. She has 2 very fast and long distance dashes. She also has 2 very powerful extreme dodges. It keeps her fluid, though it's contrary to her usable skills, since many of them share buttons or activations, so you can't take some very strong combinations. It is limiting, but her skills are so strong, it won't hurt you a bit. At one time, Shiranui was in the same boat as Murasaki in that they are both slow characters in a fast world, with nothing behind them to juice them up besides pure numbers. Both characters got reworked, along with some others, and now hold top spots among the player base in terms of strength and durability. Shiranui is practicality defined. She of course has some flash and effects to her moves, but her ease of use, buffs, and healing moves make her easy to pick up and play. Her current iteration is something that I wish we could have picked from as a starter character, since she's so perfect to learn with and also remains super strong throughout the current content within the game. There's a few skills that I want to specifically mention that really take Shiranui above and beyond. I first want to talk about her extreme dodges and counter skill, because they play important parts in Shiranui's kit. Shinen Shinsoku activates on an extreme dodge and is a hard AoE DPS tool. It stabs enemies with water spears within a radius of Shiranui and deals alright damage. With the green set, it makes it do more damage, which is nice for keeping the pressure on and breaking armor bars. It's also great for speed clears, as it allows forced Shiranui to hit the ranges that her basic melee attack can't get to, or soften them up for a big sweeping skill usage. My favorite use of it though, is baiting out attacks to get an extreme dodge off to break down a boss's armor, while also providing steady damage for when I can't jump in to get a full attack string. Personally, I prefer this over Genesian, but that could honestly differ on the content I'm doing and the day of the week. They're both that useful. Genesian is her other extreme dodge skill. Instead of water spears, it summons water clones to help fight. These water clones are no slouch either. They scale off her damage, so they do incredible things. These clones can also run into danger without a care in the world and will constantly keep attacking. These clones last 10 seconds or until they're defeated, so they last quite a long time. The skill's base cooldown is 14 seconds, but when you max out the cooldown skill training, the skill goes down to about 9.8 seconds. You can essentially keep chaining it and have an army of clones run into battle while you reposition or join in on the beatdown. These clones are very single-minded, so when they spawn in, they'll attack the first thing they see. This gets really crazy when you get 2 or more clones on the field, as they just go totally nuts on everything. It's a really strong utility in set and forget technology, and you can bait the boss or enemies while the clones keep wailing on them. It's very strong, and there's a reason why Shiranui has a whole weapon dedicated to supporting this skill. Gene Sakai is her counter skill, and it's one that I don't see mentioned a lot. While of course a counter skill requires you to take damage, this one goes a little above and beyond most counters. This counter has a cooldown reduction, at max reduction with 3 reds equipped. This thing can go down to 2.8 seconds. This counter also allows her to teleport to whatever hit her, no matter the distance. This is awesome against those pesky ranged enemies that hit you with gunfire but are too far away. You take the hit and have Shiranui fly over there and cut them down where they stand. I wouldn't take this skill into the tower, but on dailies it is really fun to use and almost desirable to take damage. Truly one of the few counter skills I like and actually find worthwhile to use. Next I want to talk about 2 more skills, Senko and Rondo. They both share an input and it's for a very good reason. Both of these skills are absolute powerhouses, and also have healing. Let's take a look at Senko. It's a single target attack move, but with some finesse you can fit some enemies inside the hitbox. This is her triple red skill. At first, this was a skill I seldom used since it was single target and Shiranui is all about AoE, so it fell by the wayside. At the time, I didn't have such powerful red supporters either, so I ended up forgetting about it. Though when I started experimenting with her, I found myself using her reds more than her green because of this skill. It gives a 2% healing, but also has a 250% critical damage modifier. Now, a sort of trend you can learn too is that when you see critical damage boosted on a skill, that means it has very high base damage. So that 2% heal may not sound like a lot, but when you're doing 400,000 damage on a critical, you'll heal right back off to full off single press. It changes your tune right quick. It's also a skill that I use heavily in the tower for sniping hard enemies and crushing HP bars. This is her single target buster, but Rondo is the opposite. Rondo allows Shiranui to have huge damage, almost Senko levels, in a full 360 degrees around her. Sadly, it's unlocked behind level 81, but believe me, it's worth the trip to get it. It's a skill that gives many great effects and can work well in hybrid builds due to it needing only 2 of a color to get any effect. It can give movement speed buffs, defense buffs, and most importantly heal her. The movement speed buff lasts only for 10 seconds, so it can be chained indefinitely if you keep up with it. Speed bonuses are always a DPS boost, so it's welcome to have on Shiranui, as boosts like that speed everything up. This skill could use it since it has just barely a wind up, which is really annoying when she gets tagged during that part and now you have to wait out the cooldown. What I really use this skill for is the 5% healing that red has. This skill does a huge amount of damage already, so recovering 5% of something like a 350,000 crit is 17,500 HP. That will fully heal my Shiranui, and I'm sure it will heal many others as well. I wish other characters could have a no-fuss heal like Shiranui has. Rondo and Senko are just that good. The last skill I want to talk about is Sogetsuin. It's a ranged attack on a melee character, but it comes with some very powerful attributes. First, its set effects are determined by the main supporter, which makes it very cheap to run. It can fit just about anywhere. Green gives an attack speed buff that's a little less than Rondo's, but still good regardless. In fact, you can even take Rondo and Sogetsuin to make Shiranui move as fast as Asuka. Red has gotten a lot of crit boosting supports, so Red Sogetsuin allows for her to start boosting critical chance and making her crit nearly every single strike and skill. The buff activates the moment Sogetsuin starts, so it gets applied to those projectiles. Blue adding another projectile is pure damage and it's very good on its own right, though I don't use it as much as I'd like to. Something that isn't listed on the skill itself is that the projectiles pierce and that they can knock enemies back. Those aspects make it a very good crowd control skill while also dealing very solid damage. It's perfect for kiting and making sure you have room to set up. I try and take it with me wherever I go, since going into a corner with it and firing it off blindly into the camera results in many hits and an eventual escape. The knockdown is invaluable, as enemies have to get up and it's the perfect time to get in close and exploit their wake-ups. These are all skills I deem to be her core ones and some of her best. Not to say that her other skills are bad, all her skills find a place or a home somehow and can do great things. You just gotta be willing to experiment. Supporters for Shiranui are about as flexible as it gets. She flourishes in about every color, and it's important to remember what comes with each skill when preparing. Blue with her skills likes taking less damage and also being at range. To complement that, boosts need to be made in the damage department, and possible range damage increases as well. That may prove to be difficult since damage boosting blue supporters are few and far between. As of the time of making this, they've only really started leaning into the support of blue in terms of attack power. Blue on Shiranui honestly isn't a triple blue experience since I found it hybridizes a lot to make up for the damage boosting shortcomings. Though it does create a sort of balance of attack strength and impenetrable defense, which is very good on hard content. Especially if you're fighting machines since blue excels at that. Special mention to Mito Haruka, the SR supporter with a huge boost to damage against humans. It's very good on Shiranui for sure, and all you have to do is main the summon and then run 2 other colors you like. Green is a real do-it-all sort of typing for Shiranui, as it gives her access to melee boosts, specific type boosts, and critting power. Green also gives her access to incredible AoE clearing power and is a fast way to deal damage. Most skills on Shiranui in green boost speed in some way. Whether that's attack speed, bar gain, or cooldowns, it's all about rushing around and raging rapid. To take advantage of such speed, Shiranui wants to cram in as much damage as possible in those periods of time, meaning supporters that boost stats like melee, crit chance, or specific enemy damage are very useful. Shiranui doesn't have any healing as green, so possibly finding one of the healing supporters that make more potions drop or increase healing from sources may be of importance. Critical is just the name of the game in green, so raising Shiranui's latent critting ability will make it easier so that you can take advantage of the crit damage boosting sources. It's just an all-around good color to use. Red skills with Shiranui are a mixed bag. Critical rate boosts, crit damage, healing, DPS boosts, it's all over the place. That's actually the best part about it though. Since it's so varied, you can take on mixed supporter setups and not lose out on too many things. With all these bases covered naturally, Shiranui can go for things like flat damage boosts or directly into maximizing her critical chance to make each move crit. Let's finish up here. Her straightforwardness and ease of use make her a viable candidate for any new player, and her SR weapons are cheap and very strong. In all honesty though, she's quite boring. Boring in the sense that she can do everything and also be good at them. A pure mechanical and practical character. There's nothing wrong with that though, but if you expected more, go play Shizuru if you're on about style. Shiranui's first few strikes may be slow, but their reach and her ability to chase super far on those attacks make it an acceptable trade-off. It's very quick to work around. But the question remains though, is she worth it? Absolutely. Absolutely. She comes with strong skills, high damage, large range, healing, and so much more. Shiranui is the full package, and I'd get her ASAP after you pick up one of the first 3 girls. Because not only is she a bona fide MILF through and through, she is just top tier in about everything.
Oh lord, it wasn't that something. Thanks for coming on out and learning with your boy Hardcorn. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment too, because I'd love to hear from you guys and maybe get some ideas from where to go next. And as always, I'll see you next time.